Welcome everybody here, and so the first item of business is item 1, conflict of interest declaration. Councillor Simpson.
I'll just have to leave for the boring bylaw for the fire hall. There's a
Okay, for 6-1. Okay, thank you. Any others? Seeing none, just a one. Then the next item is the agenda. Does anybody have any additions to the agenda? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as circulated. Councillor Lloyd, all in favor? Okay. And then we have 3.1, the regular council meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2019. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Holm? Okay, Councillor Holm moves. Any discussion? All of them in favor? Okay. All right, and Councillor Simpson, don't go far. Kyle?
Good afternoon. So we just have an amendment to the fire hall boring bylaw that was previously issued. Just a clerical error, the original bylaw that was issued in September, reference section 256, just operating expenses should be 258, capital property, long-term boring. So it is to amend that and then amend rentals to renovations and update purchase of equipment through renovating and expanding the fire hall. So just to make it, adjust those clerical errors so we can send this off to Alberta Capital.
Any questions through the Kyle? Okay. Councillor Chapman?
Having heard none, I would move that council provide first reading to the amended borrowing bylaw.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Okay,
I'd move second bylaw,
Okay.
second reading.
okay, Councillor Holmes supports second reading of the bylaw. Any discussion? All in favor? And then motion for unanimous consent then. Councillor Pauls moves for unanimous consent. Call the question, all in favor? Okay, and that's carried unanimously. Councillor Lloyd moves for third reading of the bylaw. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, and that's carried. Okay, welcome back. And then we have item 6.2. Kyle can introduce this then.
We just have in front of you have an amendment to the property tax bylaw that was previously issued. There's no change to any of the residential or non-residential mill rates from last time. As part of the annexation agreement, though, with Lethbridge County, we are to tax, the mill rate is to be the same as Lethbridge County. Lethbridge County recently updated theirs after passing this previous property tax bylaw. So this bylaw is to simply amend the annex mill rates to agree to Lethbridge County for the 2019 tax year. If there's any questions on this, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Through to Kyle, I appreciate your review on this. And does the county set the mill rate, and we have to follow that for our own, simply because we're carrying those taxes?
Yeah, as part of the annexation agreement. So there's two annexation agreements, but for example, the last one we did, we're to use the mill rates as Lethbridge County for the next 25 years. So it's just to ensure we're on side with the agreement.
Thank you.
Councillor Holm.
Just want to follow up. Kyle and I traded a few emails on this one earlier, but if you look in the overview section of this bylaw on the third statement there, the annexed farmland mill rate increases from 7.4282 to 27.5616. Can you just kind of clarify that for everybody? It just looks like, at first I thought that he had put a 2 in front of the 27. So,
In the previous bylaw, the annex farmland rate was the same rate as the residential mill rate. However, Lethbridge County splits out their farmland and their municipal, their residential rate. The reason is farmland assessments are quite low, so they do have a higher mill rate for that. So it does show quite a big jump, but it is still consistent with Lethbridge County.
Okay. Does anybody care to sponsor first reading of the amended bylaw then? Councillor Lloyd, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Councillor Chapman? Okay, any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And if you're willing and able, a unanimous consent motion could be entertained at this time. Councillor Simpson moves for unanimous consent to have all 3 readings in one session. Call the question, all in favor? And that's carried unanimously. And now we can entertain third reading if that pleases anybody. Councillor Lloyd moves for third reading. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Kyle, for your work on that. Okay, and then we have Spencer, I believe, is going to tell us about the downtown revitalization project update. Spencer, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon to you and council. I'll keep my comments fairly brief on this, and I may pass off the odd question to Andrea if it's overly technical in nature. Basically, one of the key questions that came back from the key stakeholders with the downtown revitalization project, those being the businesses and organizations that make up the 3 blocks that are the area of this particular project. In initial discussions on the intention to construct or reconstruct Main Street in the 2018 construction season, one of the main questions was how would that impact the business operations of the organizations along Main Street within those 3 blocks. Well, the initial intent was to have the construction occur this year. There is a method of construction that can greatly minimize and in some instances, in ideal situations, eliminate the impacts to businesses has become or has been made aware to town staff. So the recommendation at this point in time is to defer the capital aspect of the project to 2019. That will allow for the type of construction that would minimize impact to businesses to be used. And the main reason that we would need to defer to make use of that type of construction would be because it takes a little bit longer overall. But it does allow for less impact to the businesses and organizations in the construction area. So the recommendation from staff at this point in time is, again, to defer the construction aspect or the capital aspect of this project to the spring and summer of 2020.
So it's just that newer methodology, does that come at an increased cost, or is it relatively the same cost? Or is it? Any questions through to administration? Councillor Chapman?
Thank you, Worship. I think the major emphasis is that just the timeline is really the critical issue, that it'd be easier to defer it till next year, I believe. So I would make the motion that council defer the construction phase of the downtown revitalization project until the spring, summer of 2020.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you.
Okay, Andrea, 7.2.
Just to give you a little bit of background on this, the University of Lethbridge is planning to do a Bachelor of Engineering down here, so they're working towards that and their accreditation. There's, a few reasons for that. I think some of the biggest ones are sometimes there is a bit of a skills gap trying to get people to come to Southern Alberta that aren't from here. So if we had an engineering program down in Lethbridge, it would make it a lot easier to get people to come and stay here, right? Also, Southern Alberta is different than central and northern and other parts of Canada. So it'd be an opportunity for the university to come and do a bit of a twist on the engineering program. I've been talking with them at length on it. And so I think it's quite an exciting thing that's hopefully happening quite soon at the university. They'd like to get the program going, for fall 2020. Which is quite exciting. So what they've asked the business community and surrounding municipalities is to do letters of support, and that's going to go up for the accreditation. So if the mayor and council is in agreement, I did take the opportunity to write up a letter of support if you'd care to sign it.
Questions through to Andrea, Councillor Chapman?
Thank you, Andrea, for all your work on this and your draft letter. I'm just really curious about your engineers on staff. Is it true that you really have 3 engineers? Like, are they PNGs that are
We have 2 PNGs and then 1 EIT.
working towards their PNG, I'm sure?
Exactly, yeah. He's just graduated in January. Yeah.
Thank you. And do you want a motion for that? I can
Sure.
move to support this directive and that council provide a signatured letter with this prepared letter of support.
Any discussion? Seeing it, Councillor Lloyd?
Yes, Your Worship. I would just like to speak in favor of it. Having 2 sons gone through the engineering, having gone to Edmonton, this is great. I think it's awesome. I really like to support it.
Okay, Kalen?
Can I just ask what the engineering twist is for the university's engineering program? What specializations are they going to hone in on, and how does that benefit Southern Alberta?
Yeah, they're doing an agricultural engineering program, and I guess historically there had been one, and that's kind of been phased out the last 20 years or so. So they're bringing that in, and I think that'll be a really good thing for the region as a whole. And then they're also going to do a bit more on the environmental side. So we've already been in discussions that maybe, our wetland is a great thing that they can start using for education purposes and start getting into that a little bit more, because none of the Western Canada universities kind of does that twist on it. So it would be quite an interesting addition to the current curriculum. Those are the 2 main ones that I can think of.
Okay, Councillor Holm?
Just a question, I guess more of my own interest. So are you sitting on the committee that's kind of helping out with spearheading this, or is there such a thing?
There is a committee. I haven't been on it to date. But I'm hoping to get more involved. That's why I've been talking with them a little bit more, because I'm just very interested myself
Good, I hope
personally
you
in
do.
it. Yeah, thank you.
We'll support it on the condition that you don't run away and become an instructor on this program when it comes.
I won't.
Oh, good. Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Councillor Chapman. Any other discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried unanimously.
Thank you.
And then we have 8.1, development stats, that was prepared by Cindy. Any comments or questions? I entertain a motion to receive for information if somebody chooses to. Counselor Simpson, any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Okay, that's carried, thank you. And we're on to the information items. 11, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Any items bearing any special mention or discussion? Counselor Lloyd?
I just have a question. Do we not have a representative on the Badlands?
We have a representative that's primarily appointed to go to the annual general meeting, and then they have elections at that meeting for directors, etc. So unless there's special meetings of the board and that during the year, then that'd be the one and only meeting generally. Anybody care to move the information items for information? Councillor Simpson moves 11, 1, 2, 3, and 4 for information. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Okay, and then after council is done, starting from about 4 till I think 7, 4 till 7 is a barbecue open house kind of a affair at the Eastview Park, and that town supplying the food, and the kinsmen are graciously doing the cooking, etc. So those that want to make their way to that after council are more than welcome to. Then we have the town plan meeting at 6:30 at the Gem in the West as well, and I was in on the inaugural meeting, so anybody that wants to have a full day of meetings and information, please feel free to join Spencer, myself, and Ryan at the Gem in the West too. Misery loves, yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so we're done with the public portion of the meeting. Could I get a motion to go into closed session, please? Councillor Holm, all in favor?